Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms. And these are Charter Moms chats where we go live on weekday afternoons around 4 p.m. Central. And we're sharing information that will help families pick the schools that are the right fit for their children. And it's enrollment season, and we're sharing lots of enrollment guides. And I'm really excited that today we are debuting a brand new enrollment guide because Valor Education, which is an Austin-based classical education charter school network, is expanding to San Antonio. And we're really happy to be sharing the news about that. So we have a team from Valor Education today. Let me introduce the folks who are joining us on Charter Moms Chats. So Steve Gordon, I remember meeting Steve like 10 years ago when he was still living in Arizona, but now he is superintendent of schools at Valor Education. So Steve, I'm really delighted to have you on Charter Moms Chats. It's been a long time coming.
Great
and we also have Dr. Mark Discher, and he's the headmaster of Valor San Antonio. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and then we also have Erin Fonner, and she's the director of marketing and communications for Valor Education. So thanks y'all so much. I'm really excited to be talking about Valor Education and sharing it with the San Antonio audience for the first time.
Grateful to be here. Thank you, Inga.
Yeah. Okay. So first question is for Steve, and I was wondering if you could share about the mission and vision of Valor Education, because I'm assuming that it's not that many folks yet in San Antonio who know about Valor, but we're hoping to change that, hoping that more folks will be aware of it.
Absolutely, Inga. And thanks so much for this opportunity to be with you and for all the work that you're doing for San Antonio, for the charter community, for parents. And thank you, parents who are watching as well. One thing I just would start with saying is that at Valor, we really believe that parents are the primary educators of their children. And so as a school of choice, we're very excited to share a bit about our vision today and our model. And we're excited to be coming into San Antonio. For me, it's a bit of a homecoming as I lived there for a number of years myself. In thinking about our vision, our mission at Valor, I think the first thing I would start with is that Valor Education is fundamentally about the formation of the whole person for a certain type of life. And so we are a classical school. We have a classical curriculum. And so when we're thinking about that type of life, we're really following the classical tradition in this way, which outlines wisdom and virtue as being the two primary ends of education. And so that's a really big starting point for us, is we want to, over the years of their time at Valor, cultivate wise and virtuous young men and women. I think of one of my favorite writers, G.K. Chesterton, once said that education is not a subject, and it does not deal in subjects. It's instead the transfer of a way of life. And so obviously we have our subjects like any school, but we're looking at it in a holistic and much more integrated ways, that we're really trying to share with our students a whole way of life. And obviously that wisdom and virtue being those guiding stars for that. So, I mean, that may sound a bit lofty, but it's really important. I mean, we really adhere to those ends of education. And when we're thinking about, well, where do we start with all that? I think the starting point for us at Valor, if I had to put it in one word, would be wonder. And our motto that we've adopted actually at Valor is a Latin phrase, sapientia per admirationem, which means wisdom through wonder. So that's wisdom is our goal, but the starting point is wonder. And we believe that all human beings, all students have a natural desire to know, an innate sense of wonder, and that's part of what it means to be human. And so I think as educators, we can either take that as a starting point and really cultivate it and cause that to grow and flourish and develop, or unfortunately, there are things we can make missteps and actually educate in a way that doesn't take that into account and doesn't continue to cultivate a sense of wonder. So when we're thinking about our curriculum and our pedagogy and our culture and everything that makes up our school, everything is intentionally ordered towards cultivating that sense of wonder that we know our students have deep in their natures as human beings. And so when we think about the great books and the beautiful works of art and the dramatic stories of history that are part of what we do, we're thinking about it through that starting point of wonder. And of course, there's a community in which this formation happens too. And we'll get into more about the curriculum and pedagogy and the community, but I offer that as a starting point, I think, in terms of what our vision of education is.
No, that's great. Like, I'm a big fan of big ideas, lofty goals in education, and it's part of what makes my job so fun, because I get to survey and learn about all these different school models. It's part of what makes the charter school movement so exciting, and why school choice is so important. Is it so that families can, learn and listen and find out, like, oh, this is what Valor is about, and then if they feel like that resonates with them, thinking about wisdom and virtue, it's starting from a point of wonder, and if families go, aha, this is what I'm looking for. And maybe they didn't even realize that that was available as an alternative to their neighborhood public school. That's what I'm so excited to share about. So, but Steve, I want to keep you on the spotlight. If you could fill in more about the history of Valor Education, kind of your presence in Austin, because that would, people should know this is a new school to San Antonio, but it's not a new charter school network in Texas. Y'all have been around for a few years.
Yes, absolutely. So we actually, our founding team formed Valor in 2016 it was. And we as any new charter, we have to go through the application process with the TEA. And that's in and of itself is a separate story that I could tell a lot about, but it was it's really an adventure, and that's what it's been for us as a team, as a grand adventure. We were successful in that, of course, and we opened our first campus in Austin in 2018, and that was Valor South Austin. And we were approved to have to open 3 campuses in our first 5 years, and that's what we've done. So we have first Valor South Austin, then Valor North Austin 2 years later, and then this year actually we were very excited to have our first ground up construction campus, Valor Kyle, open. And so we've just really been digging in and opening schools, and not just opening, but growing them to the point where Valor South Austin opened with K through 8, and now we're going to have our first graduating class this year. So we're really excited about that milestone. And then thinking about next year, we on the horizon is, of course, Valor San Antonio, and then also looking to open a campus in Leander, the far northwest side of San Antonio. So we've been busy in our a little more than 4 years of operation, but we're very excited about what the future holds.
Yeah, and as a network, Valor has an A rating from TA, which is exceptional. I'm sure it makes TA excited that y'all are in the growth mode.
Absolutely, and that was and we're that was a process, right? Because we bring students in, we have to meet them where they are, and there's a lot of academic support and effort that went into that. But we're very proud to be in. Coming out of the pandemic to receive an A rating as a district.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Okay, well that sets us up for the next question, which is that for families who are learning about classical education, like so I want to ask Mark, since you have a background as a classical educator. So Valor has a classical liberal arts approach, and so how do y'all approach teaching core subjects like reading and math?
Great. Yes, happy to answer that. But thank you again, Inga, for having us on. This is a real honor, and it's a delight to be able to share with folks what's happening with Valor and with Valor San Antonio in particular. So the curriculum, how do we approach these things? Well, in the lower grades, for mathematics, we use Singapore mathematics. Singapore is particularly appropriate way for teaching mathematics because it runs through 3 phases. The first phase is manipulatives, so that students actually manipulate objects that are measurable so that they're able to put quantities to physical things so that mathematics attaches to the real world. This is very important. And then a little bit later, the next step is representational mathematics graphically. So there's a pictorial or visual element. So they'll use bar graphs and these sorts of things to get a sense of mathematics in measurements and different ways of representing that. And the goal ultimately is to get them to understand mathematics abstractly and to appreciate the beauty and elegance that is mathematics. This goes far beyond having them be little computers, little just doing a computational kind of exercise, but rather understanding math in a deep way and appreciating math in a deep way. I had a professor at Oxford when I was a student there, Dan Robinson. He used to like to tell stories, to illustrate the wonders of mathematics by saying, there are these instances throughout history where a mathematician is sitting in his office and he comes up with a brilliant equation just because it's beautiful and elegant. And it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't attach to anything as far as anyone knows. And he comes up with this equation and then he retires and he passes on. And then years later, somebody says, this equation perfectly describes the curve of a conch shell or Pleiades helminthes. And the question is, how does that happen? How does math describe the real world that way? And sometimes without us even knowing it, but only doing math as mathematicians and not calculators, but as mathematicians coming up with mathematical equations that, lo and behold, describe some element of the physical world perfectly. How does that happen? So that's the kind of wonder that we're going for when Steve talks of wonder. This is the kind of thing he means, I think, at least in part. When it comes to language, English language, we use Spalding, which is a phonics method. Phonics is absolutely crucial. It's essential. It's an explicit, systematic teaching of language. So this is important, really, especially for us at Valor, but we would say for human beings in general, because it allows ultimately these young people access to the great works, which they will encounter in our curriculum later on in the upper school, in our integrated humanities program. So they're going to encounter Homer and Plato and Aristotle and Augustine and Aquinas and Dostoevsky. And to appreciate the brilliance and the richness of these authors, one needs to read well in order to be able to read deeply and to think deeply. So that's what we use in the lower grades with an aim toward, and it actually assists with their success in the later grades.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. I hope that families are keying off on this and they go and go Google around, like find out more about Spalding, find out more about Singapore, but and also like come to an info session and ask questions. And I'm sure that you and your team would be happy to explain more. But like these are really important questions. And I think when I had preschoolers, I didn't understand that there are schools out there that are not teaching reading in effective ways. They're using sort of balanced literacy or like methods that really don't work. And by taking it down to phonics, then you have the highest likelihood that it's a teaching model that works for the most kids. And as a charter school, right? I mean, you probably provide support for kids who have reading difficulties like dyslexia. So so it's making sure that they have that foundation so that when they get to the upper school, they're ready to read those great works and have really intelligent debate.
That's right. These are proven methods, and they work, and that's what's important, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're tested
but
work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so thanks for talking about like specifically like the math and the reading, because like those core subjects, I think parents really care about making sure the kids get a foundation in those. But there's more to it than that, right? Because there's like arts and music, and there's extracurriculars and sports and community service, and so how did those factor in to the curriculum at Valor?
Yes, great question. Thank you for asking that. That's really important. We do have a great emphasis on the arts and on athletics as well. Perhaps what's a little bit distinctive about us, one of the things, is that these are not ancillary. These are not tangential to who we are and what we do. Art and music and poetry, athletics, these are things that are central to our curriculum. They're at the very core of what we do, and we take them very seriously. So a graduate from from Valor San Antonio, from Valor School in general, a graduate will have memorized and studied great poetry as well as great literature, will have performed in a play, right? A live performance, and will have performed a musical composition, a great work of musical composition, and as well as competed on the athletic field. So these are not just little tack-ons, add-ons that are electives. These are what we believe are constitutive of a fully human, flourishing life. And these things go with the student throughout his or her life, and no one can take them away. And they won't become obsolete, with Art 27.0 coming out or something like that. These are the foundations of great works of art, and help students to appreciate them in a really important way. And is left.
Yeah.
Well,
One thing go ahead, Steve.
I was just gonna, if it's okay for me to jump in, I wanted to say a few other distinctives that we're really excited about in along the same lines of what Mark was saying is we're really excited about what we could call the experiential education elements that are part of our curriculum. And so we have a couple of those things are our garden-based education program, where we have a school garden at each school and have that integrated into the curriculum, so that students are taking part in that attentiveness to and care for the natural world as part of their fundamental experience in science and nature study as they move up through the grades. But also our human encounter program, which is it's a little hard to describe it, but I would say a lot of it centers around service and facilitating certain encounters with other people in the context of service in a lot of cases that are just not part of a typical classroom experience. So that it could be working with the elderly or those who might have been experiencing homelessness. It could also mean going to a sustainable farm and really taking part in what that looks like. And with a view towards building the type of education and formation that goes beyond simply what would take place in the classroom through those experiences. And so those are a couple examples. We also have wilderness expeditions that we're really excited about for our upper school students that will take them in an even more dramatic way out into an adventure in the natural world, potentially in settings like Colorado or Moab, as part of their fundamental experience as high schoolers at Valor. So I just wanted to add a few notes on those because we're very, very excited about what we're doing with those in our schools in Austin. I think that the students in San Antonio are going to really, really benefit from those as well.
Yeah, those are, Steve, thanks for adding those. Yeah, those are, in fact, I want to plug for on the blog. So anyone visiting sachartermoms.com, the Valor post is on top right now. If anyone coming back to this later, you can just search for Valor, it'll pop up. But there's a really dramatic photo from one of the wilderness expeditions. And yeah, those are really memorable experiences for the students. And, not every student gets the chance to do that with their family, but if they can do it through the school, it broadens their experience. It equalizes the experience that students can have if the school is providing a rich set of experiences, and they're not extras or plus it seems to be a trend in the big high schools in San Antonio where kids are expected to specialize at a very young age, and that if they're going to participate in a sport, they better have been doing club sports for the previous 5 years, or they're not allowed to participate. But at Valor, you can be an amateur, you can experiment with something, and every student is expected to do things, even if it's outside their comfort zone, or like, well, I'm not a theater geek. It's like, well, guess what? Everybody's going to do it. So everybody gets to learn.
And that's so important. And it's so important for students to see themselves as not confined by that kind of box. I'm a math person, or I'm not an art person. So we're really trying to break that down for students at a young age so that they come up through the grades with a more capacious sense of what is possible for their own education. Yeah.
Well, thankfully we have a Valor parent on the panel. So I want to bring Erin on screen. And so Erin has a dual role. Like, she's part of the team, as marketing communications. But Erin, I was wondering if you could share some stories or examples that demonstrate what the school culture is like at Valor, so that families in San Antonio who are excited about this can kind of paint a picture in their minds of what Valor San Antonio will be like.
Yes, of course. Hi, all you moms and dads out there. It's great to have this opportunity to share. And it's hard to choose just a few stories, Inga. It's amazing. I'm just so grateful for what San Antonio Charter Moms is doing, because school choice is such a gift. And yet it makes it sometimes challenging for the parents to know exactly where the right fit is for your child. I've definitely been on that journey. And we found Valor when Valor South came to and opened in Austin, in South Austin. I have 3 kids at Valor. They're currently in 8th grade, 5th grade, and 3rd grade. But we've been at Valor, I guess since 2018, growing with the schools. And it's just been really neat to see. We've talked about a few of the different things in theory, but to see the practical living out of this, philosophy of education and educational philosophy has been really neat. So one example, my husband and I were chaperones at the upper school dance last year, and it was a great Gatsby themed dance. So everyone was dressed to the nines in their little flapper dresses, and they had the hats, and some of the guys had canes, and it was tremendous to see the maturity and just the wholesome fun that the students had. They were brave to try new dance steps and to ask different people to dance, and everyone was so supportive. Nobody was ridiculed. Nobody was left out. And there was it was a beautiful night. I mean, truly, my husband and I, as we were driving home, were just in awe. It didn't feel like what you would expect for a typical high school dance these days. It was just this beautiful moment to come together as a community. And one thing that Valor really emphasizes is friendship. And we've seen that a lot with all 3 of our kids in their different stages. I think one thing too that has been really neat is walking the halls. I have such a incredible opportunity to get to work at my kids' school. It's just so fun to get to pack 4 lunches and off we go in the mornings, and so to get to walk the hallways and be in the classroom and see the joy on their faces. The kids here feel safe. They feel known, they feel seen, and they feel loved. And so to just have them kind of relax into who they are and into their friendships and into their relationships with their teachers has been really beautiful to see. There's a real attentiveness and presence. We talk about wonder, and wisdom through wonder is our motto, but we don't just talk about it. Like, we really live it out. And so on Fridays we have nature studies and gardening. My girls right now are learning to play violin. I mean, I never played violin. Like, what is this? It's incredible. And to see like their love and curiosity for nature and science and literature. Another example that comes to mind is we sit around the dinner table and do our highs and lows. And my kids will always ask to share a poem, like poetry recitation at the dinner table. And so they get so excited when it's their turn to stand up, and with beautiful elocution, they will give, Jabberwocky or Charge of the Light Brigade or Paul Revere's Ride. My 4th grader did Paul Revere's Ride. That is a long one. If you've never heard that one, you need to look that one up, because it is quite impressive. These kids are sponges. And so it's just so neat to really feel the partnership with the school, like where I really feel like I am working alongside the teachers. The teachers are working alongside us as parents to give this full human life. And my kids really are flourishing. We especially my oldest, had a little bit of a rocky start. It took several tries to find the right school. And we finally found it in Valor. And we're so, so grateful. And just to see all 3 of our kids, they have very different personalities, very different learning styles, different needs. But Valor really did meet each of them where they were and has helped them really accomplish so much. But they're not valued for what they accomplish. They're valued for who they are. And that's been really beautiful to see.
Yeah. Wow. Erin, it's making me emotional. My kids went to a classical education school for a number of years, and some of the stories about like the poetry and stuff is bringing back memories. And and thank you for sharing about about your own family's experience, because I think I'm sure there are families who are they're thinking about changing schools and they're nervous about it, and you're helping kind of paint a picture of what the student experience would be like once they get enrolled at Valor San Antonio. So, but that leads to my next question, which is sort of like, hopefully families are getting excited about the vision and about the curriculum and about the student life. So what kind of steps can they take, or so what's the timeline for opening the school, and then we'll talk about, like, how they can sign up, how they can enroll.
Sure. Yeah, I can speak to that. So we are currently in our open application period. So like other charter schools, we're open enrollment, no tuition, no application requirements. We truly believe in making classical education accessible to everyone, regardless of background or ability. And so we're currently in a season of accepting applications for the lottery, which that's how we handle enrollment, is everyone gets to apply for a position in the lottery. And then our deadline for that is January 30th of 2023. So it's currently open now. We started it in September. We have a little bit longer application period than maybe some other charter schools, just to allow people to hear about us and decide. And so the open application timeframe ends January 30th. We will have our lottery on January 31st. And then we will begin to make offers for open spots right away. And then after that, it will be a rolling kind of first come, first serve as you submit your application. Then as seats become available in the different grades, then you'll be offered a spot. And of course, there's no, in submitting your child's name for the lottery, you're not committing currently right now. It's just an opportunity that, say, January 31st, you might get an offer and you might not. You might get on the wait list, but now is the best time to if you want a chance of getting your child in the school, to go ahead and throw his or her name in the hat and see what happens come January.
Yeah. And so then the timeline is that the campus will open August of 2023, right?
That's right.
And it will serve a certain number of grade levels and then keep growing. Right?
That's right. So we are K through 12 schools, but we do, with our school launches, start with smaller. We don't start with every grade level right away. And then we grow one grade at a time.
Okay. And the location is still to be announced. So I know you guys are hard at work on
Yes.
that. But
And I could just say a few quick words on that, Inga, if that's okay. I know from the outside, a lot of people are just waiting to see where is it going to be with schools. And I just want you guys to know on the inside, in terms of organization, we're working intensively on this on a daily basis. And we've been doing a lot of looking. We're interested in several locations right now, and I would say the one that we're really honing in on most at this moment is a location which is near the medical center, so it's accessible to I-10 and to 410. And I just wanted to let you guys know that that's one possibility that we're very excited about. And as soon as we are in a position where we can say this is finalized, we're obviously going to let families know as soon as possible. But I wanted to give a little bit of an update on where it's looking like right now. We have been looking north central and northwest a bit. So, but that location that I would just refer to is in process, and hopefully we have some more updates soon.
yeah, thank you, Steve. And so the plan is to open with grades K through 8, right? And then
yes, that's our plan. That's what we've done at our 3 previous launches: is K through 8 opening, and then grow 1 grade each year until we get to K-12.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. Okay. So, Steve, thanks for giving us kind of a progress report. And actually, this is my excuse to plug the Charter Moms discussion group. So, of course, like as soon as I find out, I'll share it in the discussion group. That's a good way to stay up to date with what's happening with enrollment season.
Absolutely.
So, what steps can families take? So, Erin mentioned that the application is open now, and that this is the best time to apply because the lottery isn't until January 31st. So if you have a better chance of getting an offer if you apply during open enrollment rather than waiting until after the lottery. But what are some other steps that families can take?
Sure. We actually have several opportunities coming up. So obviously, we would love for you to visit our website, which is valoreducation.org. And you can find lots of information there. If you click on locations, you can specifically navigate to a page that's around San Antonio, Valor San Antonio specifically. But we invite you to visit all different aspects of the website. There's lots there. We've got a video on there where you can see kind of firsthand what students are experiencing in the classroom. And so the website's a great place to start. You can, of course, follow us on social media as well. on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And then we have several events on our Eventbrite page. So if you go to valoreducation.org, you can see the link to our Eventbrite page. We have one event tomorrow at 10 a.m. We have a Zoom call, a parent information session. And we would love for you to attend that if you're free tomorrow at 10. And we actually have several of those planned out for various Fridays over the next month or so. We also will be at Headmaster at the School Discovery Day on Saturday. So come out and meet us. We would love to meet you. And I'm sure you can tell more about that. But we will be there at the School Discovery Day this week. And then we also have another one in November, on November 12th at, I can't pronounce the name.
OP Stable Park. Yeah.
Yes, at that park. And we also have a in-person parent info night next Thursday, October 27th, from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Venture X, I believe is what it's called.
Yeah, co-working space. Right.
Find out more. Yes, co-working, exactly. Find out more on our website or Eventbrite page. And then next Friday, October 28th, Friday morning, if you're willing to hit the road and make the drive, we would love to have you come visit us for a school tour at Valor Kyle, which is our southernmost campus. It's just south of the Austin area. Not a terrible drive from San Antonio. And we would love to have you come and experience firsthand what a Valor campus feels like, looks like, what the students are experiencing, and meet us and get to ask your questions face to face. So lots of opportunities, whether you're a Zoom person or an in-person person at the park or on the road, you can choose how to get to know more, but we would love to meet you very soon.
Yeah, well, I really want to encourage families that, take Erin's advice, go to a meeting, talk with the people who work at Valor. And getting to see a campus is a really exceptional experience. I even back when I was doing, before I enrolled my kids in a charter school, I was able to travel to Arizona and visit a school. And you don't always have to go that far. Fortunately, to learn about Valor, you only have to go to just south of Austin. Yeah, and as Erin mentioned, School Discovery Days, we're kicking off a series of 6 School Discovery Days. The first one is at Headmaster downtown, so it's a super fun park. Yeah, Valor is one of about 15 schools that'll be there. The next one, as Erin mentioned, is at OP Stable Park, and it's on the northwest side. So that will be a good location for families who might be interested in that initial campus location. And again, it's a super fun park. There's hiking trails, playground. We're going to have a gourmet hot dog truck at Stable. So it's going to be a really good time. So. And we have more information on the website at sachartermoms.com, school-discovery-day. But I keep plugging it in the Charter Moms group because I'm super excited about these events. They're going to be really fun.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, and I know, Mark, you're new to the Valor team, but I think you've been working hard. You're going to be the head of school, the headmaster at the new campus. So, and you've been able to start getting to meet Valor San Antonio families, right?
I've been able to start meeting them, did you say?
Yeah.
Well, not many yet. I'm very eager to. I'll be in town. I actually am not in town at present. I reside in the Phoenix area, but I will be in town next week for the open house. And I'm hoping that so many of you will come. It would be a great honor to meet you in person and shake your hand and learn about your family and how Valor might fit into your family. Be happy to have you learn more about me and learn more about our vision and more about our school.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, this has been a wonderful opportunity. I've learned more about Valor. Let's see. Let's see. I thought we had some comments. Nope, I was wrong. Let me put the website back up on the screen. So valoreducation.org. That's where folks can find stuff. And we've got lots of links in the enrollment guide blog post, including like the Eventbrite, so folks can sign up for the open house, the school tours, the Zoom session, things like that. So thank you all so much for Charter Moms Chats, for joining School Discovery Days, for helping create the enrollment guide blog post, and I'm really excited to see this school come to fruition.
Thank you so much, Inga. It's been a pleasure being on here, and we look forward to talking to all the parents who are viewers out there as we make our way into San Antonio.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Inga. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
Thanks, y'all. Take care.
This was a great honor. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, take care.